Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And a couple of days ago, it is announced that the Devils added some executives to the executive level suite. And you might ask, who were these gentlemen? Great question. Devils announce hockey operations hirings, announcements made in front office, scouting, player development, athlete care, and equipment staffs. And the main ones at the top of the ticket here, we have Chuck Fletcher, senior advisor to the president, hockey operations and general manager, which is Tom Fitzgerald. We have former captain Andy Greene, named as an advisor of hockey operations, and Manny Legace, named as the head amateur goaltending scout / development coach. And you see these names, and I'm like, seems like the group is getting larger in number. I'm not really sure what's going on here. And we see the press release. The New Jersey Devils today officially announced a number of new hires regarding management, scouting / player development, athlete care, and equipment staffs. The announcements were made by Devils president / general manager Tom Fitzgerald. And we get to Chuck Fletcher here. He is joining as an advisor to Fitzy, a senior advisor. And I will mostly remember Chuck Fletcher for what I would call being the mastermind behind signing both Zach Parise and Ryan Suter in one offseason in that fateful summer of 2012 after getting to the Cup Finals and losing in a gutting Game 6 to the Los Angeles Kings. We lose our captain. Zach Parise leaves with his friend Ryan Suter. They both sign in Minnesota for monster money, and that one really hurt. It still hurts to this day in some aspects. In the end, the contracts didn't age super well for Minnesota, but that was quite the headline grabber. And it was sort of a rebirth of the Minnesota Wild. They were competitive. They obviously never won the Cup. But that's what I will forever remember Chuck Fletcher for. And then a lot of Flyers fans don't really love him for his, mediocre time there. But he's now going to be a senior advisor to Tom Fitzgerald. And then we have Andy Greene, former captain, longtime New Jersey Devils, going to be an advisor to hockey operations. And with some of these vague titles, I would love to know a little bit more exactly what they entail. But I think Andy Greene is a good hockey mind. I always thought he would one day find a role in the organization with something, and this kind of seems like the generic, advisor. Hockey operations, I'd love to see Greene back officially on the team in some capacity. He's been around the team for a while, I feel like, basically just kind of hanging around, I guess, waiting for an opportunity to open up. But, Andy Greene has the 6th most games played all time as a New Jersey Devil with 923. Longtime Devil. Unfortunately, we never could win that cup with him. 2012 was as close as we got. We lost in the finals. Eventually a captain, and I liked Andy Greene. I thought he was a very solid defenseman, and because of his duration with the team and being a captain, he would be on my list of guys to be inducted into the Devils Ring of Honor. Now my problem with the Ring of Honor is because it was basically shelved for 7 years or so, and no one did anything with it, and we weren't inducting guys regularly. We finally saw it revived last season with Sergei Brylin going in there. Hopefully going forward, the Devils induct at least 2 or 3 guys, I would say, per season, so you can kind of get the ball rolling. In my opinion, there's tons of guys that are worthy. I've talked about this in previous videos and in lives, and Andy Greene would definitely be on my list. However, with that being said, Andy Greene would be far down my list just because there's been guys from years ago that were either a cup winner or multiple cup winner. And in my humble opinion, those guys should take precedence. And because it was, further in time ago, that those older guys should be the first up kind of on the list to go into the Ring of Honor. And tons of them, I think, are eligible and are worthy of the honor. I've talked about it before. They have all the 2-time winners and, guys like Holik and McKay and Gomer, go on and on. All the 2-time winners you guys know have a special place in my heart forever. And I think those are the guys that kind of have to go in first. But eventually I would want Andy Greene in there as well. Captain, longtime Devil, serviceable Devil. I think he deserves a spot in the Ring of Honor, but not before those other guys I mentioned. And then we finally get to Manny Legace, longtime veteran goaltender in the league. Never, a world beater by any stretch, but he carved out a pretty decent career for himself. But, he's now going to be the head amateur goaltending scout and development coach. Scott Clemenson, former New Jersey Devil, was working for the Devils in some scouting capacity for the goalies. They announced that we've, severed that relationship, and now it looks like Legacy is the new guy. I would love to know what the tie is here. I'm sure there's probably some overlapping tie. You know, like a lot of people and companies in the world, people give jobs to their friends. And, you know, Fletcher and Fitzgerald, I believe, worked together for a few years in Pittsburgh. And so, you know, when you see, especially in professional sports, guys give jobs to guys they're friends with. And, you know, that's part of the world we live in. I'm not saying it's a complete nepotism hire, but, you know, you'd have to wonder where some of these names came from. With that being said, I now kind of look at the hockey operations side of the franchise. And we look here, Tom Fitzgerald is obviously the president of hockey operations and the general manager. Martin Brodeur is the executive vice president of hockey operations. Then we have Dan McKinnon, who's the senior vice president and assistant general manager. And then Kate Madigan, assistant general manager. And so when you see all these things, it seems like Fitzgerald has a cabinet of people that would rival that of the president of many countries. I mean, he has all these advisors and the assistant and it just gets a little murky for me, because I do start to question, like, who's really driving the car, who's really running the franchise, who is really making the decisions. And I do think in a lot of scenarios it is valuable to have the option, I would say, of picking the brains of people in hockey and having these people surrounding you to kind of bounce ideas off of and, you know, talk things over with. But I think at some point it might become too much, and we might have too many cooks in the kitchen here. And it's just kind of like, who does what? I mean, it's just a lot. You know, Fitzy is the GM and the president. Then you have Marty's the executive vice president. Dan McKinnon is senior vice president and assistant general manager. And then Kate Madigan is the assistant general manager as well. And now we have Chuck Fletcher, who's going to be the assistant to Fitz. It's like, it seems a little bit redundant. There's a lot of layers here, and it is a little bit concerning to me, because I do feel like that maybe decisions are made by committee, or there's a lot of people involved. You know, months back we talked about how a lot of people believe that the analytics department of the New Jersey Devils have a heavy hand in a lot of personnel and decision making, which, you know, I'm not a fan of. And so you just start to wonder, like, there's a lot of layers and a lot of people here. And you wonder if this just builds up a bureaucracy, so to speak, where things just get stuck in the mud, and it's hard to, I don't know, and it's hard to pull the trigger on deals. I would really love to know the actual way this all works, information flow and ideas and how this all works. Again, I don't know. We're all just outsiders looking in. But it seems like there is a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and I'm curious. And not to make excuses for him, but this is something I believe I've mentioned in the past. I have to believe that a lot of the things that did or did not happen are solely Tom Fitzgerald's fault, right? You guys know where I'm at with Fitz. I'm rooting for him. He's the general manager of our team. I think he's done some good things. I think he's done some hard things, like not getting a goalie last year and watching the season slip away from us, when if we just got any sort of adequate goaltending in January or February, we definitely could have made a playoff push, and I've talked about that in depth on this channel. But the one thing that you cannot deny is that when we finally put Dougie Hamilton on the long-term injured list, we did not use that LTIR money. And I have to believe that Tom Fitzgerald would have tried to either, you know, get another piece or multiple pieces with that money, about $9 million that came off the cap when Dougie was put on LTIR. With that money, we did nothing, and we did not spend it. And so to me, that means that ownership is kind of keeping the clamps down, if you will, in certain aspects, and spending money freely is not something that Fitzgerald is just going to have the green light to do whenever he wants, in my opinion, because what GM would not be giddy at the idea of spending $9 million in LTIR money? See Tampa Bay Lightning, see Vegas Golden Knights. The roadmap game plan has been out there, how you kind of expose or exploit, if you will, exploit the LTIR money rule and build a juggernaut team. And then you get your guys back for the playoffs, and now you're $8-9 million over the cap, and you have a monster team. We did not spend the money, and I can't believe that that is all on Fitzgerald, and I am worried that the ownership meddles and the analytics department, and whoever you want to call it, that there are more hands at play here than you'd like to see, and I think that's a cause for concern. It definitely concerns me. Hopefully, you know, we see a big improvement from this club next season, but the amount of people now that seemingly are involved in the day-to-day hockey operations is a little much. It's a little much, in my opinion. And when you just go back to the glory days, again, I hate to keep beating on the drum of the glory days and back in my day, but, you know, when we were the Dynasty Devils, there was no question in anyone's mind who ran this team, who ran the ship, and that was Lou Lamoriello, baby. No question about it. Lou ran the ship. He did what he thought was in the best interest of the team, and we made it to the mountaintop 3 times, 3 beautiful Stanley Cup championship winning seasons. And I think that, when you get into these committee situations, it might be hard. It might be difficult, but hopefully we are set up now with the free agency and the offseason we had, with another year of experience for some of our young kids. With Markstrom in net, I'm hoping for the best, but it just seems like a very crowded front office, in my opinion. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. We've talked about this a lot, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. And then we go to a new segment I'm going to call The Best of Social Media, where I'll just be sharing and commenting on different things from social media from the previous week or so. And we open up here with, this was attached to a sweet birthday wish to his mother, a cute little nicohischier as a child wearing his Youth Devils jersey. He actually played for a Youth Devils team in Switzerland, and it seemed like he was destined to be here, guys. Here he is as a little boy with his mother. Happy birthday, Mom, was the message attached. And we see a young Nico in a Devils jersey. And then we learn newly acquired goaltender Jacob Markstrom, in fact, mows his own lawn. Not only does he mow his own lawn, he does it with a push lawnmower like back in the day. Props to you, Jacob, getting that yard work done all on your own on what looks to be a beautiful property, either lakefront, oceanfront. I'm not sure where exactly he is there. It looks like an absolutely beautiful property. I wish I was there on vacation right now. And then finally, we get to my man, curtislazar, living his best life in the summer, and here he is with some scuba gear. And you're like, what is Curtis doing there? And then we look, oh boy, just when Curtis couldn't be the man any more than he already was, he is in a cage diving with sharks. Look at those things. I would pass out and soil myself. And there's the selfie, our man Curtis just chilling with some sharks around his cage. I don't know how people do this. I've seen it on television. Sharks scare the ever-living shit out of me. When I was a kid, I would swim super far out in the ocean. I'm a very good swimmer, and I wouldn't be afraid of waves and stuff. I would swim all the way out. And I guess that was before Shark Week and the internet when I was a small kid, because sharks and ocean creatures didn't even really cross your mind. And then, the internet, you see all these shark videos, and then they had Shark Week on the TV. So now I don't go out too far. I'm very frightened of this exact thing. But there's our man Curtis on a vacation in Hawaii, just chilling with the sharks in a cage. And lastly, in our social media wrap-up, here we have dearly departed friend Tyler Toffoli. We will miss Tyler dearly. Here he is with Kevin Connolly of Entourage fame, who's a well-known, very big Islanders fan, Kevin Connolly. But for any of you who remember him, he was the character E on Entourage, a classic HBO show from back in the day when I was in, I think, college. Highly recommend it. For anyone who hasn't seen it, check it out. It's on HBO Max, I think, Entourage. Great show. But there's our man Toffoli and Kevin Connolly on what appears to be a yacht in Saint-Tropez, just living their best life with a beautiful sunset there. It must be nice to be rich and carefree. But there they are, wrapping up our best of social media segment here. Let me know in the comments anything you think about what I've talked about here, these hirings, all of our front office personnel. I will talk to you all soon. Anything Devils hockey, throw it out there. I love talking to you all. Thank you for watching. I'll be back soon. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.